All right, let's talk Nigeria's economy in the year 2025. What are you seeing? Why not even necessarily speaking to all the experts as an average Nigerian who just feels what the economy says through how much it costs for you to buy anything, whether goods, services. We'd like for you to share with us what you feel in this year 2025 and how, if you have answers to the questions, government can really push it the way that Nigerians will feel good in this year 2025. We're talking how the nation's economy can be reflated in the year 2025. Joining me right now is an international business, finance, and trade expert, Bamidele Ayemi. But Bamidele, we thank you indeed for joining us on News Hub. And Happy New Year to you.
Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
All right. So, generally speaking, I'd like for you while you talk about the technicalities of how the economy is run and the peculiarities of our own economy in Nigeria. I'd like for you to simplify it so that everyone watching would understand everything we have to say this morning in regards to how Nigeria can get its foot back on the pedal. What do you see if you want to take into consideration how our economy went in the year 2024? What do you see? Give us an overview in this year 2025.
Year 2024 or 2025? I heard 24, I heard 25.
I said you have to look at what went down in 2024 and look at the projections into the year 2025. So that's my question. What did you see last year, and what do you think the impact it could have on our economy in the year 2025? Yes. Can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
Bamidele, I can.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Did you get my question?
No, I did not.
Okay, let me take it again. I'm asking you what you felt in terms of our economy last year, 2024, and the impact what happened in 2024 could have on our economy in the year 2025.
Okay, 2024 was a very challenging year. Understandably so, the government took a very serious decision. Necessary, I would say, but a lot of people have also argued about the way we could have taken that decision in a way that help reduce the impact on the people, in as much as those decisions were also necessary. But I mean, according to a number of experts, the idea is when you take such policy decision, it takes about 18 months for you to begin to see the impact. So we're hoping that by middle of this year, we should begin to see the impact of some of those steps and action that have been taken by the government, considering the fact that by then it will be far more than 18 months for which those decisions have been taken. So I'm hoping very much for a lot better year in terms of growth of the economy, in terms of reduction in inflation, in terms of general well-being, and of course, disposable income for citizens of the country. Let's hope that we are able to follow through on all the plans of the government, particularly the tax reform, because based on that reform, we should be able to generate enough income to be able to ensure that the government is able to do the government business.
Okay, that's very interesting. There are lots of things that Nigerians will be looking forward to, especially since the president had read his budget proposal for the year 2025 to the National Assembly, passed the second reading. Hopefully, when the 10th National Assembly resumes, we'll get to know what is going on. But according to the National Assembly, really, the budget for 2024 will still run until about the 6th month of the year 2025, which could mean that both budgets may have to run concurrently if it gets passed and assented to by the president, so to speak. When you take a look at the provisions that are openly declared by the president in defense, security, infrastructure, and what have you, what are you looking at?
You know, the president also made some very bold statements in the course of that presentation, based on some of the assumptions that have been made. And of course, these are things you see regularly whenever government is, whenever you see the budget being presented. So for example, the government planned to reduce the inflation significantly. Reduce, and you know, sometimes I like the fact that the president sometimes can be very audacious in some of the things he says. And of course, I mean, one of the job of the leader is to give hope. So I expect that that's what the government should do. If the citizens are complaining or citizens have issues, the government cannot be expressing the same shock or concern that the people have. So I expect that some of the things the president planned to do, they are able to achieve it. A proposed budget of about 49.74 trillion, and it's expected that the exchange rate assumption was 1,500. The rate right now at the official market is about 1,530 to 1,540, and at the parallel market about 1,650 to 1,660. That has been relatively stable, but for the crude oil production that we're expecting to increase to 2 million barrels per day. We are currently at about 1.5 million barrels per day. So there are a lot of work need to be done there to be able to ensure that the government projection to increase it to 2 million barrels per day is achieved. Because the interesting about budget is that there are a lot of assumptions. Now, if those assumptions, if there is a significant change in the variables assumed in the budget, then it affects the budget, which is why, of course, the economy will say all things being equal. So if all things eventually are not equal, it then becomes a challenge. Now, the government plans to bring inflation, which is currently over 30% to about 15%. That's very audacious, and it's good. It's good that the government have better plan and working towards better plan. We just hope that we are able to see this through, because I will not be pessimistic on this, because if the government is able to achieve it, it's all for the economy and everybody will be better for it.
It's very interesting because you talk about economy in terms of the GDP growth and the prospect it has looking at the economic policies put in place by any government across the world. But we're projecting on with how we can reflate the economy. So there are indices we want to take a look at this year. What are those things that governments should put in place if we have to take this economy to where President Bola Tinubu has always said he would want to see it get to?
When you check countries that are able to grow their economy significantly, there are some things that are very common to those economies. The economy that you can say are developed economy, the economy that you can say are having very, very high level of GDP. When you check those economy, there are some variables you will always see. You will notice that those economies are economies that do a lot of export. So for example, in 2023, China did $3 trillion, followed by United States, followed by United States about $2 trillion, Germany about 1.7 trillion, Netherlands about $936 billion, Japan about $717 billion, Italy $677 billion. When you look at these major exporters, what you also notice is that these are the same country with the largest economy. So you see a very strong positive correlation, between the country exporting and the country that have the largest economy. That for me is very instructive. The fact that you see a very strong correlation. So if we are going to grow our GDP, then we really cannot joke with export, because even when you look at the calculation, the formula for calculating the GDP, it is always, you see the government spending, you see the consumption of the people, you see investment, then you see import minus export. So the place of export is extremely important. And in considering that, we are not just going to be exporting, we are going to be exporting value added. Either we are exporting secondary product or tertiary product. We should not be doing a lot in primary. We can't completely eliminate primary product, raw material. So for example, in talking about primary, secondary, and tertiary, if I look at share nut, shea nut will be primary, shea butter will be secondary, cream, cosmetics will be tertiary. If I look at cocoa beans will be primary, cocoa butter will be secondary, chocolate will be tertiary. So you notice that global exports in goods is about $24-25 trillion. About 50 to 60% of that is intermediate products, secondary goods, secondary. Meaning, and then you now see about another 20-25% is tertiary. Meaning about 80% of traded goods are actually between the intermediate and tertiary. What that is telling us is that if we really want to grow the economy, we must take production extremely serious. So whatever support, incentive, man has been talking about this, that the government need to do to support production and boost productive capacity of the country, we must do. Why? Because that is what will help us to grow the GDP. That's what will help us to bring in the forex. That will also what will help us to be able to significantly bring down inflation. Because majority of our inflation in Nigeria today is imported inflation. Imported inflation in the sense that because of the increase in FX rate, conversion rate, from about $400 when this administration came in to about $1,500, $1,600. And we are an import-dependent nation. So everything we are using, even in raw material for manufacturing and finished goods, are imported. Even the input for farming, like fertilizer, like pesticide, are imported. And then, of course, the vehicles and the fuel used to move them are imported. That significantly impacts the cost of all that we are buying. So if we're able to increase production, increase export, drive down the FS rate, I believe the president will be able to achieve that objective.
Thank you so much. I was reading a report put together by ProShare, which is really projecting that for our economy to be so healthy, we must be looking at getting to a mark of $1 trillion economy. That's where we can say we're very stable right now. GDP for last year is about $199.72 billion. Real growth, according to reports, annual percentage 2.9%, and inflation rate, as you will go to remember, some put 32.5%, about 34%, and some others said that it was much higher, that it was actually underreported by the Bureau of Statistics in the country. I'm reading out all of this to see how we can move vis-a-vis our population. We're yet to get a census. We're looking forward to that this year, because some would say all of this planning that we're hearing from here and here, all the plans announced by the government, should be benchmarked on near accurate number of the population of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. How important do you think this could be for us in 2025 as we take a look at all the indices that can reflate our economy? Bamidele.
How do we even plan when we don't have data, or when we don't have a reliable data? How do we even plan? How do we even plan? That's why sometimes when government said they have disbursed money to some percentage or number of people, people doubt this, because we really don't have data. There's no reason why we can't have access to data of people, number of people in Nigeria, and number of death and number of beds, and then we can easily do the deduction and addition every day and be able to say, okay, this is how much the number of the country is. Because really we can't plan effectively if we do not. Okay, for example, we say, okay, Nigeria, we have a lot of vulnerable Nigerians. Okay, we need to provide jobs for our people. Okay, how many jobs do we even need to provide? How many people don't even have jobs? So the importance of data is extremely important. In fact, having that accurate data will let us know, indeed, okay, we believe we have a young population. But how much is this population? You see some people say, 70% is of our population are young people below 17. So different people come on with different data. Can we be more accurate, reasonably accurate, by having a census? So I think having a census is extremely, extremely important for private sector in marketing strategy, in growth, and of course for government in terms of all the social investment and social initiative and all the amenities and the facilities and services that government needs to render to the people. So I'm hoping that will happen this year much more. We postponed it several times, and I know a lot of politics around. We politicize a lot of things in Nigeria. Now, let me tell you what I foresee happening, because Now, if you look at the tax reform, particularly for the sharing formula, population of the people is part of it. And a number of states that currently have data that are probably not accurate, or the data they are projecting, the number they claim is not correct, might have issue with us having census, or might even find a station in which we have other things being counted, like cow and animal and goat, whatever it is being counted, which things that have been reported in the past. That's what I foresee. But we must be serious this time around to be able to ensure we have this census done, in order to ensure that we can effectively plan whatever it is we want to do, both for the public and private sector in the country.
As we custom on this discussion, I can remember vividly that President Bola Tinubu had really harped on the need for foreign direct investment to come into the country, and he traveled a lot trying to sell Nigeria to see how the foreign investors can come and put money in our economy. If you want to take a look at the fundamentals that surround things that can bring foreign direct investment into the country, do you think we're ready for business this year? Are you optimistic of more foreign direct investment in the country? If you have some level of pessimism, what can be done to really bring people to come and invest in the country?
Economists have they have a way of pushing this narrative for need of foreign direct investment, which I don't have any issue with. However, the question I ask myself is, there are about 4 ways you get FS into a country: foreign direct investment, foreign portfolio investment, trading goods, trading services, remittances. Of all these, you don't have control over foreign direct investment. You will have to woo them, but they will decide if they are coming to your country. You don't have control over foreign portfolio investment. You might have to woo them, but decide if they are coming to their country. Even remittances from our brothers and sisters abroad, we still have to, we still don't have control over them. They have to earn the money to send it. But trading goods and trading services, we can decide that this is what we want and we'll get it. So, in as much as the government can still pushing for FX to come in through foreign direct investment, in which someone will have to decide if he's coming to invest in your country, why don't you also take seriously the other part that we have control over, which is trading goods and trading services? Why are we not doing a lot to be able to ensure we pump more oil and export more oil to be able to generate more FX in oil? Why are we not doing a lot in ensuring that we significantly increase the non-oil export from Nigeria? That would be my opinion on that, because people are going to decide they're going to bring money to your country, and they're going to look at a lot of variables. I don't think Nigeria need to go out to bring people in. They can see the news. They know what is happening. They know if this is a place to put money now, or this is not a place to put money now. And if they see as a place to put their money, they will come in.
All right,
look, investors are like ants. They're always looking for where there is sugar to go and feed. So you really don't need to woo them the way we try to do. If we have what they need, they will come in.
All right. Then we have to go in 2 minutes so that we can wrap this up. There's no way we're going to end this discussion without talking about our debt portfolio for the year 2024, which stood at 64 trillion naira. We want to look back into the year 2023, where we had it at about 35 trillion naira. So it's as good as doubled in the year 2024. What do you see, looking at the fact that Nigerian government did tell us that before they assumed office, the money paid for debt servicing, let me say the entire income of the country, about over 90% of it was used in servicing debt. But right now they said to us that about 67, that come down to about 67%, which means that monies earned from economic policies could be seen to be paying off. What impact do you think debt servicing could have on checking how we're able to put our economy back? You have just 1 minute for this. I think we lost touch with you. I would have loved for him to respond to that. Let's see if you're able to get him to respond to this, and we'll wrap up this segment on the level of debt that Nigeria is owing at the moment at the federal level. State governments also have different debts that they incur to ensure they run their states effectively. How are governments across board, the federal and state, be able to manage the debt and then manage the economy in the year 2025? That's an answer I have to wait for to get from Bamidele. Another time that we're able to have him on News Hub right here on the show. Bamidele Ayemibo is an international business, finance, and trade expert who joined us virtually from Lagos. We do hope we get him back to get all the answers that we seek from the questions we put across to him. All right, thanks for staying with us on News Hub and Silverbird Television.